Alright, so this is part two. Alright, y'all. So part two. Alright. We still stand with Tyson, and my mama used to. There was a guy named is it? I think it was Steve Harvey or Tom Joyner. He was somebody on the radio station, but they used to, like, if you been the 10th caller, ninth caller, you win such and such. And my mom used to always try to win. She was just always trying. She was always trying. You know what I mean? And one day my mom and Tyson went out to. They went out and left me and my brother and sister at the house. And when they came back, they was arguing. I don't know what they was arguing about, but they was arguing, and they went inside the room, and Tyson started beating up on my mom. And I hear my mom screaming, and she was like, she called out my name. And at this time, I'm 12, 13. And I run upstairs, and I go to my mom, and the door is open, and I see my mom on the bed all bloody in the face and stuff. And so, I was going up there to save my mom, and Tyson, he had a shotgun, and he pointed the shotgun right in my face, and he told me to close the door. Because I opened up the door. When I opened up the door to help my mom, because she was calling out to me, that's when I saw her in the bed with a bloody face. My mom had the audacity to tell me that never happened. It was the first time anybody ever put a gun in my face, man. This dude put a shotgun in my face and told me to close the door. I froze, and that's one of the things about me. When I'm in shock, I'm like a deer in the head. Like, I just don't know what to do. I don't move. I don't know what to do. And he pointed that gun at me. He gave me a direct order, like, close the door. I closed the door, and I just looked at my mama's face again. It was all bloody. I didn't know what to do. I was like, damn. Like, I saw my life flash before my eyes. All I saw was the darkness in there of the shotgun in my face. My mama gonna tell me, "Oh, if I would have known that would have happened, I would have even stuck with him." Like, woman, you did, and that did happen. You think I just made that up? My mom was so gone on drugs, man. She was just messed up. But yeah, that happened to me, and I'll never forget. That was the first time anybody ever pointed a gun in my face. But anyhow, my sister, she called 911, and the police came, and they took him. They took him to jail, and it was just us. And my mom, she was still trying to be the ninth or 10th caller, and she won. She happened to win, but this was like, I'm gonna say, 2 days or a day after Tyson beat up on her and went to jail. She stuck around. She won. I think she won like $1,000. She won a lot of money, and I don't know exactly how much, but anyhow, somebody. It could have been my dad, because it could have been my dad, because my dad was always fighting over my mom. But one day, because Tyson had this big old truck, and Tyson came outside, and all the tires was flat. Somebody flattened all his tires, and he used the truck to go to work. So he was kind of devastated about that when he found out his tires was flattened, because, it costs money for tires. And so when my mom won the money, this is after he beat her butt. After he won some money, after my mom won some money off that radio station, she used her money to buy him tires. She bought him brand new tires for his truck. You know what I mean? And so that was crazy. But anyway, things didn't work out between her and him, and we end up back on the streets. We end up back in the Houston. We was in Acres home. We was back in Houston streets, and we was standing in this house. They ain't had no lights on or anything, and we was in this room on this mattress, and this house had big old rats. And I'm scared of rats. And I was like, I don't want to sleep on the edges. But my mom was like, you the boy, you the oldest boy. My sister, my little brother slept in the middle. So I had to sleep at the edge. I mean, I was terrified every morning. But anyhow, my mom, she used to get up like early in the morning. She used to get up early in the morning to leave, to go hustle and do drugs and leave us at the house. We supposed to be in school, but my mama pulled us out because she didn't want child CPS or whoever the people that the kidnapped kids uh, grab us. She didn't want them to grab us, so she took us out of school, and we was just in this house with her Dolphin friend and laying low, staying off the radar. But anyhow, my mom used to leave. She'll probably leave around 7 o'clock in the morning. And we don't see her until like 11 at nighttime or 12 or 1. Me, my sister, and brother. And so what we used to do is, when my mom used to leave, we used to just walk around the neighborhood, and back in those days, they didn't charge for water. And we used to go to like fast food restaurants like McDonald's, and we used to ask for a cup of water. And we used to use the water to appease our hunger. You know what I mean? So we used to drink a lot of water just to appease our hunger. And then one day we were just walking around Acres Home, and we found this. Y'all don't laugh when I say. I know the proper name is what's the proper name for this word? Pecan, but we call them pecan. Okay, it's pecan, but we call them pecan. I'm Texas, but we came across this pecan tree. Oh my goodness! Finding that pecan tree was like a buffet of all you can eat. So we start picking that pecan tree every dang day. We was picking that pecan tree, y'all, and we picked that pecan tree until there was no more pecans on that tree. We picked all the pecans every day. Because remember, my mom didn't show up until late at nighttime. And sometimes when she came, she either came with some burgers, some hot dogs, or if sometimes when my mom didn't have any food, so we used to go to this grocery store. My mom used to go inside the grocery store and steal like bologna and bread, and we were so picky. We were like, Mom, why you ain't stealing no cheese? She looking at us like, y'all ungrateful ass kids, you know what I mean? But she used to go in there and steal some food so she can feed us. And I was always tripping about, Mom, you didn't steal everything. You supposed to stole some cheese or some mustard or some mayonnaise or something. But she used to get some mustard, get some bread and some bologna, and we'll take it to the house, and you know how them gremlins was when they were eating that chicken. That's how we was for them sandwiches. But we ate all the pecan trees, and then when my mom came back home at night, she'll bring us some chicken or whatever, you know what I mean? But if she didn't, we'll go to the grocery store. We'll be her, I guess we'd be her watcher. And she'll go in the grocery store and she'll steal bread, loaf of bread and stuff. It was during the wintertime. This is why she had this big old trench on, a Schwarzenegger coat on, Terminator coat on, and she'll steal a bunch of stuff. So luckily the winter, that season kind of played in our favor. So she was able to wear a big coat without looking suspicious. But yeah, she was doing that, and but then one night, from this night on, when my mama leave, my sister, she used to get up and leave. So it was just me and my brother walking around the neighborhood without my sister. I didn't ask her where she was going. We didn't care, you know what I mean? She was an irritating little pest, so we didn't really care where she was at. But when my mom came home with food, my sister wasn't hungry. And like I'm probably like 12, 13, 14. But my sister wasn't hungry. And I was like, dang, you know what I mean? I was like when my mom brought some burgers, my sister say, I don't want it. And I was like, can I have her? And my mom was like, yeah, split it with your brother. And we'll split her cheeseburger, you know what I mean? Or burger, whatever it was. And then the next day, my mom brings some chicken, and my sister was like, I don't want to, I ain't hungry. So I like, Mom, can I have hers? And she was like, yeah, go ahead. She was like, you sure you don't want no chicken? She was like, yeah, I ain't hungry. So the third time, I think my mom brought some, I don't know, what was the third time she brought something? I can't quite remember. What was it? She probably brought some chicken again. What was the third time she brought? It doesn't matter, but anyhow, what it was, she brought everybody something. I can't remember. It could have been chicken. It could have been a hamburger. I don't know. Whatever it was, I wanted my sisters. But the third time, my mom was like, you're going to eat your food. This is the third night you didn't eat your food. Are you okay? Or is anything wrong with you? She said, no, I'm good. I'm not hungry. And when my mom started questioning her, like, what's wrong with you? That's when I started to become curious. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, why aren't you eating? And, and I've been noticing my sister disappearing at night. I mean, early in the morning when my mom used to leave. So I'm like, damn, where are you going? Because my sister didn't leave until my mom left. That's when my sister left. And she came back before my mama returned. You know what I mean? So my mom never knew she was disappearing like that. But so now I became curious. So what I decided to do, I decided to follow my sister without her knowing. When my mom got up every morning, my sister would get up. And so I act like I was asleep. And she'd get up. And we stayed in this little neighborhood where there was a bunch of houses, right? And I'm gonna say this woman's real name because she deserved to be honored and recognized, because I tried to reach out to her and I had a hard time finding her, so I'm gonna say her name. But anyhow, so I'm in an all black neighborhood. So I follow my sister behind these houses. I'm hiding behind the corner, watching my sister make a turn, do another turn, and then she disappeared. She goes to this house. She knock on the door, and the door open, and she go inside this house. And next thing you know, I decide to go closer to the house to knock on it. And as I get closer and closer, I'm smelling pancakes, sausages, breakfast type food. I'm like, oh, it smells good in the house. So I knocked on the door. And the door opens. And it's a white woman in a black neighborhood. And I'm like, because when I was growing up, we was always told white people are devils. And I actually believed it because I kept hearing black people say this, like, watch out for the white folks. The white folks are devils, you know what I mean? I was kind of like, but I had white friends when I was a kid, but, you know what I mean? I ain't had that many. I probably had one. But, you know what I'm saying? I was always told white folks are devils because of the things they used to do to black people back in the days. And so, I kind of had believed them. Well, I actually fully believed them, so I kind of watched out for white folks. So, this white woman opened the door, and now I'm kind of like, dang, is my sister all right? What y'all do? What are you doing to my sister? You know what I mean? And she was like, hey, how you doing? I like, hey, is my sister here? And she said, who is your sister? And I say, old lady. And she said, oh, old lady's your sister? And I was like, yeah. And then my sister stick her head out around the corner. She said, boy, get away from here. Get away. Go. My sister was trying to run me off. And then the woman named Shantae, she say, you didn't tell me you had a brother? And she said, and she looked at me, she said, hey, you want some breakfast? I was like, yes, ma'am. She said, you like pancakes and eggs and bacon? I like, yes, ma'am. She said, well, come on in. You have some breakfast. I said, ma'am, my little brother, he's at the house. And I was wondering, can he have some too? Because we don't eat. My mom. She said, yeah, go get him. So I rushed to the house. And my brother, he got these big old eyes. I rushed to the house and I woke him up. He's still asleep. And I woke him up. I said, Punky. He opened his big old eyes. No, he barely opened his eyes. I said, you want some pancakes and sausages and bacon? And man, his eyes just flew open like, yeah. He like, nah, I said, get up. He got up quick. I said, let's go. And we went inside and he followed me, kept up. We rode out and he rode out. Man, we rode out. We went to this woman's house. Her name is Shantae Brooks. She used to have these seizures, but her name is Shantae Brooks. She was married to a black dude, or she was engaged. She was with this black dude. I think his name was Terry, but she had a brother. His name was Bernard. These are their real names, and I'm just saying their name because, they was some decent people. And they was really decent people, and so anyhow, we go in there, we throw down, and that's when the woman was like, "Where y'all mama at?" And we basically let the woman know, our situation. Like my mom, she be leaving us. She unenrolled us from school, and we stay in this house with no license, and we have to go and and search for food while until my mom come back, and she kind of felt bad because I guess she couldn't have babies. She said she couldn't get pregnant. She loved kids, and so she wanted us to call her mom and things of that nature. And she ended up adopting us, adopting. Ended up adopting us, but my mama wouldn't give up full custody of us, and so she couldn't withdraw any money. And times was hard for her to take care of 3 kids. That thing. We didn't understand none of that. But we ended up getting an apartment with a 2-bedroom for us. And, my mom, she just didn't want to give up full custody of us. She should have, so Shantae she could have withdrew benefits for us. But I guess my mom was probably drawing those benefits in order to get those food stamps so she can sell those food stamps for drugs. I'm pretty sure that's probably why she didn't want to do it. I just don't got it because she loved us that much, John. The way drugs operate in people's minds, it seems like they don't care about nothing but those drugs. Those drugs is like a priority over everything. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But yeah, after learning more about my mom, I realized that how drugs can affect the mind. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, so being that Shantae couldn't get full custody of us, we end up back with my mama, and we end up back in the streets. Yeah, we end up back in the streets, and I tell you what happened afterwards on the other part. They eating the bone. Look at them. I gave them some big old cow bones. Rough, rough. Let me have some, man. Never mind. Never mind. That's it.